Caitlin Clark might be dominating the basketball court, but behind the highlights and headlines lies a story that's tearing the basketball world apart. Some say she's the future of the sport, a generational talent breaking records and redefining what's possible. But others, they're calling her the most overhyped player in history. Is Caitlin Clark really as great as everyone claims, or is she just the beneficiary of a system that's been built to make her a star no matter the cost? Her rivalry with Angel Reese is just the tip of the iceberg. Let's talk about what's really going on. Why is Caitlin celebrated as a competitive genius, while Angel Reese is labeled too cocky for doing the same thing? Why do we see countless articles praising Caitlin's intensity, while Angel and other players like her are scrutinized for their every move? Is this about skill or something much deeper, something no one wants to admit? And then there's the officiating. Have you noticed how often Caitlin gets the benefit of the doubt from referees? Questionable calls, no calls. It's starting to look like the rules bend when Caitlin Clark is on the court. Fans are asking, is she just that good, or is the system designed to protect her image? And what about the media? The same outlets that crucify players like Angel Reese for being too brash are the first to defend Caitlin when she shows her fiery side. Double standards much, but it gets even messier. Rumors are swirling about tension in the locker room and resentment from other players. Is Caitlin's rise to fame coming at the expense of her peers? Are her teammates and rivals being forced into the shadows so that she can shine? And let's not ignore the elephant in the room. How much of Caitlin's success is about basketball, and how much is about the image the NCAA wants to sell? Stick around, because this story is bigger than Caitlin Clark. It's about power, privilege, and the ugly truths that shape the sports world. By the end of this video, you won't just see Caitlin as a record breaker. You'll see why her career might be the most controversial rise in basketball history. Welcome to Crazy Basketball. If you're ready to dig into the real stories behind the game, hit that subscribe button. This is the video they don't want you to watch. Stay tuned. Before we get into the controversy surrounding Caitlin Clark, let's first look at what's been causing the stir. Her rookie season, which was nothing short of groundbreaking. Caitlin didn't just meet expectations, she obliterated them, sweeping prestigious global awards like Times Athlete of the Year and SBJ Business Athlete of the Year. She didn't just make a name for herself, she redefined what it means to be a basketball star. But here's the kicker. She broke 62 records in her first season. 62, a rookie coming in and doing that. That's unheard of. Some might say she's a once-in-a-generation talent, while others might wonder if this is all part of a bigger narrative, one that's been carefully crafted to put Caitlin on a pedestal above all others. It doesn't stop there. Caitlin almost single-handedly dragged the Indiana Fever to their first playoff spot in over a decade. A team that had been struggling for years suddenly became a playoff contender, all because of her. This sounds like a fairy tale, right? But here's where things get messy. Was the Fever's success really all about Caitlin, or is she just a convenient, marketable figurehead? This one player dominating the headlines means there's very little room for other players to rise. Her rise to stardom is great for the league's ratings, but could it be creating a toxic environment where everyone else is just background noise? Some are starting to question whether the WNBA is starting to feel less like a league and more like Caitlin Clark's personal stage. When one player gets this much attention, are we really supporting the game as a whole, or is it all about creating a spectacle that serves one person? Now, let's talk about Caitlin's off-court influence, because this is where things start getting seriously controversial. Caitlin isn't just dominating the game, she's completely changing the financial landscape. She generated an eye-watering $36 million for Indianapolis in just 1 year. That's right, $36 million for a city that was once a backwater when it came to basketball. The WNBA's merchandise sales surged 500%, and Caitlin's jersey is a hot commodity everywhere you look. But here's the thing, is all this money actually good for the league, or is it creating an unhealthy situation where the league's success is completely tied to one person? Some are even drawing comparisons to Michael Jordan, not just for her basketball skills, but for her business impact. But when you start comparing Caitlin to the greatest of all time, you've got to ask, are we really building the future of the league, or are we setting it up to fall apart when Caitlin's star inevitably fades? Then there's the question of competition. Caitlin is being hailed as the face of women's basketball. Hell, some would argue she's the face of basketball, period. But is this really good for the sport? When one player dominates so thoroughly, it's easy to forget about the other stars in the league. Caitlin's meteoric rise has made it harder for other players to shine. Instead of building a team-based league where talent is spread across the board, we're seeing a situation where the entire league revolves around one player. Is this how we build a lasting league, or are we just building building a cult of personality around Caitlin Clark at the expense of everyone else. This is the problem with a one-star narrative. It's great when the star is shining, but what happens when that star burns out? Will the WNBA survive on Caitlin's back alone, or will we see a collapse when the spotlight moves on to the next big thing? The truth is, Caitlin Clark is creating a culture that's dangerously focused on individuals rather than the collective success of the league. And the question we need to ask is this good for women's sports? Are we willing to let one player become so massive that it undermines the very structure of the league? Some say Caitlin is the savior of women's basketball, but others wonder if her dominance is actually a threat, creating an unhealthy obsession with one person and pushing the league into a situation where it can't thrive without her. The truth is, we may be witnessing the creation of a superstar who could destroy the league just as quickly as she built it up. The more you think about it, the more troubling it becomes. Is Caitlin Clark's rise to stardom a blessing, or is it the ticking time bomb that could implode women's basketball as we know it? Only time will tell, but one thing's for sure, this story isn't going to end without a massive shakeup. As Caitlin Clark continues to dominate the basketball world, her rise is stirring up a whirlwind of opinions, and not everyone's on board with her success. The drama surrounding her rivalry with Angel Reese, her breaking 62 records in a single season, and her undeniable off-court influence are making waves like never before. But the real question is, are we elevating Caitlin Clark too quickly? Some are claiming she's becoming the face of basketball, but could her stardom be overshadowing the future of the sport? Is the WNBA too obsessed with her at the cost of other rising stars? As the debate heats up, it's clear, Caitlin Clark is not just a player, she's a battleground. If you're intrigued by the controversy and want to stay up to date with every twist in this saga, like this video and subscribe to Crazy Basketball. Let's be honest, if you're watching this and haven't hit subscribe yet, what are you waiting for? Your support means more than you think and helps us deliver even more fire content. Don't miss out on the hottest debates and stories in basketball. And we want to hear your take. Is Caitlin Clark's dominance good for the game or bad for its future? Leave your thoughts in the comments and let's stir the pot together.